For those of you who are Mac users, it's really easy to set up a web server on Mac OS X. All you got to do is go into System Preferences and click a checkbox. However, we're going to make things a little bit more complex here so that we can make things a whole lot easier later. So what you're going to do in the Finder is go up to the Go menu and say Go to Folder. And we want to go to the folder /etc, which is pronounced Etsy, and then click Go. Inside that folder, you'll see another folder called Apache 2. If you're running Leopard, you'll see it at least. If you're running Tiger or an older version of OS X, 10.4 or earlier, you're going to look instead for a folder called HTTPD. So whichever one of those two folders you find, inside there you're going to look for a file called httpd.conf, short for configuration. Now this is an important file, so the very first thing we're going to want to do is make a backup of it before we touch it at all. So to do that, you click on it, and then you right-click for those of you with a multi-button mouse, or Control-click for those of you with a single-button mouse, and go down to Copy httpd.conf. Click inside the folder again and say Paste Item. It's going to ask me for my password because this is a protected directory. I'll put it in. And now we've got a backup called httpd copy.conf. So now we can go and edit the file knowing that in case there's any kind of problem, we have a backup. So just double click it, and for me it launches BB Edit. And you want to look for a line that talks about document root. So you can do find, start at the top, and find, and here's some stuff about document root. Now we want to copy this line, copy it here, then put in a new line. You'll see it said, hey, this is locked. Do you want to unlock it? And yes, I do want to unlock it because I want to edit it. So now we paste in the line we copied, so it's in there twice. Now we change that first line to have a pound sign or a hash mark in front of it. That tells Apache, the web server we're going to turn on, that this is a comment and it can be ignored. But we put this in there so that if somebody comes along later and wants to know what it used to be, now they know. But we're going to change what document root points to make life simpler. Instead of going to Library Web Server Documents, we're going to tell it to go to users/Dory/sites. You, of course, would put in whatever your username is. So unless your name is Dory, your line isn't going to look like mine. And this is case sensitive, so you're going to want the U in users to be uppercase and the S in sites to be uppercase, but your username is all lowercase. And so then we save this file. And because, again, it was locked and in a protected directory, I'm going to have to put in my password again. And now we've saved out the file. So we close it. Now we can close this Finder window because we're done with it. So go up to the Apple menu and go to System Preferences, and we're going to look for Sharing under Internet and Network. Click it, and right now it's locked, so I need to unlock anything to make changes here as well. So now I've unlocked it. What we care about is the service called web sharing. In previous versions of OS X, it's called personal web sharing. But all we want to do is click it. Click that checkbox, and now web sharing is on. That's all there is to starting up Apache on your computer. We started off with this locked, so we want to end up with it locked again. So we just click the lock, and now we close System Preferences. Now we want to see if we got it right, because we just want to test it. So we do that by launching Firefox, and then in the address bar, we type in localhost just by itself. And this is the default web page for a user, which is what we've told localhost to load, versus the default page for the Mac itself. So just to make sure that that's the case, let's go look at it in the Finder. So we switch over to the Finder. That's me. We go to Sites. Here's the index.html page that we want to be sure we have. Double click and yep, that's the same one. So we got it right. One thing to keep in mind, if you're using a Mac that's used by a number of people, you're going to want to reset httpd.conf back to the way it was beforehand, because otherwise, every time they go to localhost, when they're logged in as their user, they're going to try and run it out of your directory. And that's probably not what you want. But at least for your own testing, or if this is your personal machine, you can just leave it that way. Now that we know that the web browser is going where it should, we want to do one last bit of setup. So close these Firefox windows, and in the Sites folder, we want to create a new folder, and we're going to call it AJAX, and that's where we're going to keep our files to do our testing, and that way we don't have to keep moving files around from folder to folder and wonder where the last version is. Instead, we're just going to put everything in this AJAX folder, and then we can test it in the same folder where we're doing editing. So here's our exercise files, and what we want to do is select everything, chapters 1 through 9, right-click or control-click, copy these items, and then go back here to the AJAX folder we just created, and paste items. And there we are, and all our files from now on, for the rest of the exercises throughout this course, will be in the AJAX folder, inside the Sites folder, inside your local user directory. Next up, just enough HTML and CSS.